These things we ask in Jesus. Amen.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone that's here today to our second annual safety event. I am Kathy Williams. I am the president of Coalition of Neighborhood Organizations. Can you hear me? Let me turn on the mic. There you go. Because some of you have a loud voice and I don't. So anyway, I'll say it again. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm happy to see all of you here at our second annual safety panel event. I am Kathy Williams. I'm the president of Coalition of Neighborhood Organizations. I'd like to welcome all the distinguished people here today. We have representatives from our city council are here. Just wave your hand. In the same time, and also the panel, of course, and our moderator, and all of you that are here. We just, from the city, wherever you are, represent, we just thank you for coming. I also would like to recognize our board, the executive board. I think there's only 2 of us here today because we're all scattered out doing different things in the community today. Ann Owens, our secretary, is here. And Sue Barnhart, our treasurer, is in another event. And then, help me out here. Our vice president, Leanne Ellis, is at Rock Springs for their event representing CONO. And then we have Bert Robinson, who couldn't be here today. So CONO stands for Coalition of Neighborhood Organizations. The purpose of CONO is to support the formation, development, and empowerment of grassroots neighborhood organizations. We meet to share ideas and support each other with moral support and neighborhood representatives by promoting skill development and by promoting neighborhood and political awareness. CONO meets the 3rd Tuesday of every month. Our next meeting is May 20th, 2025. If you want more information about CONO, or if you're interested in starting a neighborhood group in your neighborhood, or you're not sure what neighborhood you're in, come to the CONO meeting on Tuesday, May the 20th. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator. It is my privilege to introduce her. Karen Eisert is a reporter and anchor for WANG News. She is an Indiana native and has called Decatur her home for 7 years. During her time at WANG, she's covered numerous stories throughout the community, but you will often find her at breaking news scenes in the courtroom. Karen's love for reporting starts with the community. While she prides herself in keeping viewers informed, she finds great joy in sharing positive stories with the community. On behalf of CONO, please join me in welcoming our moderator, Karen Eisert.
As Kathy mentioned, my name is Karen. I can pretty much project my voice, so I'm going to give the mic to our panel up here. So as I ask questions, guys, just pass the mic down to each other. So.
Diane's the one that's going to need it.
All right. So the way that this works is some of you have already submitted questions on postcards or little like index cards. And throughout the entire panel, feel free to get another one, write a question down, and we'll bring them up, just wave it up in the air. So if you have questions, maybe a follow-up to a question that was asked, go ahead and do that. And then you guys have those green tickets. Make sure that you put your information on the back of that ticket, because if you win a prize, we want to be able to contact you if you win that prize. So just make sure to have all of that information on the green ticket. So like I mentioned, the way that this is going to work, we're going to ask some questions, but we would like to know who everyone is on our panel today. So we'll go down the line. If you guys don't mind, share your position, who you are, and maybe a little bit about yourself for the group. Go get to grab the mic.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Brad Allen. I'm a Deputy Chief at the Decatur Police Department, assigned to Administrative Operations. I've been named the next Police Chief to start on May 9th when Shane Brandell retires. So within 2 weeks, I'll change titles and drop the deputy and just be your chief. So it's a privilege to serve the city and to be part of the community, and I look forward to today's panel and then also the future next couple of years leading the police department.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Yarhouse. I am a lieutenant with the Decatur Police Department, currently the night shift patrol lieutenant. Been with the department for a little over 21 years now, held various positions in the patrol and investigations divisions, and thank you for having me.
Hello, my name is Diane Corey. I'm Macon County State's Attorney. I was born and raised here in Decatur, very involved in the community with my family. I'm married, have 4 kids, chose to come back here to raise them. I'm very happy and honored to serve our community, to serve our county, and very honored to sit up here with these gentlemen. Thank you.
I'm Jim Root. I'm Macon County Sheriff. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 29 years. July 1st, I'll start my 30th year. I've born and raised in Decatur, Illinois. Been here my entire life except for my time away from here when I was in the military. And I've been serving you in some capacity throughout the Sheriff's Office for most of my career.
All right, so I do want to add that this is a really cool experience for our community. It's not often we get the opportunity to ask some of these questions, so we appreciate you guys so much for just taking time out of your Saturday to spend it with us, because this is a really neat opportunity for our community. So, with that being said, we will dive into some of these questions that we have on the index card. So, the first one is, when do we call the police for maybe a strange person or a prowler on our property?
I'll take that. Well, whenever you're having an issue, it's best to call the police at the time, right? Because it's hard for us to sometimes track people down or put things together on the backside. So obviously, if you're experiencing a prowler or a concern at your house or around your house, you need to call us at that time. If you don't feel it's an emergency situation, you can use the non-emergency number, but we're certainly not going to throw a fit if you do call the emergency number if you're having an issue at your house. So like I said, it's easier for us to handle it at the time, try to identify and deal with the person that's causing you your trouble at the time.
Sheriff, do you have anything you want to add to that?
The only thing that I would add is a lot of times the people that are going around, going through cars and stuff, they're burglarizing the areas. So if we don't have that information whenever it's going on, they might move on down the road to the next location, but if we know that they're out doing it, maybe we can get somebody down there to catch them.
And then Diane, just to kind of follow up on that, is there any legal action people can take if it maybe becomes a nuisance, or what do maybe charges look like for someone who keeps showing up on someone's property?
So for reoccurring loiterers or individuals who are not welcome on their property, they can call the police, have a no trespass issued on them, and that gives us the avenue to charge them if they come back. They can also look into civil remedies such as stalking no contact orders, things of that nature, but that's more in civil court than criminal court. If they violate the civil no contact order, we get involved at that point then.
This is a question for all of our panel members. So, what are legal guidelines for homeless? They're asking for money on business properties, maybe laying on sidewalks. We'll see them in our urban neighborhoods, on Pershing Road. So what is the legal guidelines for homelessness in our community?
So with regard to people standing out, holding up signs, asking for money, there's not a whole lot that can be done. It's their constitutional right pursuant to case law to stand out there and to hold up a sign essentially. If they become combative or things of that nature, then police need to be notified. If they're a danger to other people, things like that, we need to start getting involved.
We do field some calls at the police department about the homeless population congregating around businesses and not really personal property per se, but we have, I mean, if it's a problem that's occurring like here at the library or somewhere Central Park or something, we will come and handle it. But when I say handle it, I don't mean like lock people up, right? We're looking for services and for ways to, I guess, essentially make people not homeless, right? So for the homeless population, Decatur has some avenues and some places we can refer people, but so if it's not in public like Diane's talking, where we have people have their constitutional rights to free speech or something, if they're on your property or your business property, we will come out and mediate the situation and try to find the person services.
This is another question for all of our panel members. So, how can neighborhood revitalization reduce crime?
Well, I think improving the environment in and of itself is a crime reduction strategy. The city has a big push now for neighborhood revitalization, and being the police department, I mean, we take a part in that as well. I mean, obviously better lighting, cleaning up your properties, keeping your things as simple as your evergreens trimmed in the front of your house so people aren't stalking around your places. So, I mean, obviously neighborhood revitalization, a clean and a prosperous and a attractive city where people don't feel they have the ability to, I guess a proud city is a safe city, right? And as the community, we should all strive to keep the Decatur looking good and keep it cleaned up and try to prevent crime through solid, positive neighborhood interactions and community involvement.
One of the things you can look at is if you've got a vacant property that's somewhere in your neighborhood and you see people loitering around, definitely want to report that, because that's one, whether or not they actually have the ability or the legal authority to be there. A lot of times the houses are abandoned. Some of them are owned by the city, some of them are owned by the trustee of the county. If that property is being used for homeless people to stay in, they definitely need to be removed from there, because a lot of times they'll start fires, they'll destroy the place, and we want to make sure that the property is protected, because what we're finding is a lot of people will go in, pull out all the electrical, pull out all the plumbing, even though it's not really a vacant property, it's just somebody not living there. So make sure if you have that, you report that to your local law enforcement, call that in so that they can check that residence.
That actually answered the next question. Is there anything else you can add for if people are dealing with maybe a vacant property next to them and they see homeless, or people who are unhoused going in and out of that property? Anything else we can add to that?
Just report it. That's the best way to do it.
All right, and then still speaking on the unhoused here, someone said if they're in the street, maybe in the middle of the street at the stoplight, is there anything they can do about that?
We get quite a few of the panhandlers that are aggressively going up and down while people are stopped at lights. We don't recommend that you give them money. One is if you give them money, that means they're just going to be productive and using it for whatever illicit means that they're doing. The majority of the people we know are involved with drugs or have a drug problem. Those services are available to them. They can get services, it's just they're not choosing to do that. So one thing that you might want to do is just not give them any money, and that way they can get services.
And then this kind of moves into more of the drug conversation. Somebody wants to know, do we have a drug and gang problem in our city?
I would say there's probably not a community in central Illinois that doesn't have an issue with drugs. So over the years, it's just changed. I grew up in a very rural part of the state, south of here. So growing up, we obviously saw meth before meth came to the cities. Like I said, my hometown is 350 people, and there was a drug problem. There was a drug problem in the larger communities around us. As far as a gang problem, it's different. It's not the same gang situation it was here in the 90s before I started on the department. It's not as organized, it's more cliquish. But we still do see violence, would be classified as gang members. But again, any municipality of any size in the country, sees this type of stuff, and it's constantly something that we're trying to address and stay ahead of.
Just real quick about the gang, make a comment that after Lieutenant Yarhouse. So the gangs in Decatur right now, I think you would describe as pop-up juvenile gangs. That's the 13 to early 20-year-olds that are out there. They're the ones that are doing a lot of the violence now, a lot of the shootings, a lot of things we're encountering. So not that gangs are better in the past, but when they had a hierarchy, they kept things more in line, right? I'm not saying it's right, but you weren't allowed to carry guns in a gang unless the leader told you. I mean, I'm not saying that means it was better, but these kids today, they don't have the hierarchy in their gangs. They're out not thinking. Guns can be readily available, so they're all armed, and they resolve their conflict with shooting each other, right? Versus having a conversation, or even just having an old-fashioned fight. So that's more of the gangs today. The gangster disciples, the vice lords of the 90s are gone, and it's the little neighborhood pop-up juvenile gangs that we chase around town a lot.
Just want to share a quick story. We were working a case recently and prepping witnesses for trial, getting ready for trial. And one of the witnesses was a female, I would guess early 20s at this point. And we're talking to her about what's going on. She said, what always happens is the females with these guys are always the ones getting hurt. We're always the ones who are suffering as a result of the reckless conduct between the gangs. They're there with them. They're the ones who are enduring the bullets, enduring whatever happens. And it didn't occur to me until she said that we see a lot of surrounding people affected by the violence, if that makes sense. They're not necessarily involved. They're hanging out with these people. They're around these people, and they're the ones suffering as a result of the violence.
This kind of moves into some of our crime questions, but what are some of the major crime issues that you all are seeing?
We got some stats we can talk about, and maybe some of the things we've battled over the last couple of years, and some of the efforts that we've taken to reduce those. So I'll let Lieutenant Yarhouse speak to some of that.
So while there's a lot of work to be done, there is a little bit of encouraging news. Let's see. There it is. Last year we had 5 homicides in the city for 2024. That was the lowest number since 2016. Obviously, 1 homicide is too many. And that's down considerably from 2023 where we had 15 and 2022 where we had 16. So that is good to see. Far from perfect, obviously, but it is encouraging. In 2024, we had 99 shootings in the city, which was a 45% decrease from 2021, 59% decrease from 2020. I'm sorry, that's a duplicate there. 42% decrease from 2023. Again, far from perfect, but it has been coming down from, I believe, a high we saw during COVID. A lot of that, our community action team has been out and very active, removing guns from targeting violent offenders, known violent offenders. And in the last 3 years, just our CAT team alone has seized about 248 guns from offenders here in the city. So they are out there doing a lot of good work, and hopefully we continue to see the numbers decreasing.
So out in the county, we see a lot of property crimes, a lot of people breaking into vacant houses, stealing from vehicles. That's the type of crimes we're seeing out in the county. We don't have a lot of violent crime out in the county, but we do see quite a few property crimes. And a lot of the offenders that are doing it are repetitive. Unfortunately, with the pretrial fairness, we're probably 3-4 burglaries into it before we catch them, and then they get out, and then they'll probably do 3 or 4 more before we catch them again. And even sometimes that's even hard. But the majority of the property crimes are what we're seeing.
And just to branch off of that a little bit, it's definitely a different process to have people held in custody now that pretrial fairness is in play. With regard to what Sheriff Root was just talking about, where you have people out there committing burglary after burglary after burglary, going whether it be to cars, houses, homes, businesses, they're out there committing several different acts, and we'll get involved. We can't detain them. They have to commit another act after that point for us to be able to detain them. So it is prolonged. We don't have the same control we had beforehand to be able to kind of stop the conduct before it gets too far. But also, as Sheriff Root said, we're seeing a lot more property crimes. Those people who have substance abuse issues, they used to be held in jail when they picked up an offense, had the opportunity to dry out, seek treatment, things of that nature. When I was on the defense side, I had situations where parents would not bond their kids out because they said, I know they're not going to overdose, I know they're going to be safe, even though they're in the jail. I know that they're not going to be around shooting up heroin. And in this point in time, there isn't that ability until they're in deeper, if that makes sense.
I want to touch briefly on the property crime aspect and the safety side, is to make sure you don't set yourself up to be a victim. So a lot of the property crimes in Decatur, because people leave their cars unlocked, they leave their houses unlocked, they put on social media that they're in the Caribbean for a week, so they've advertised to everybody that their house is probably open. They don't leave lights on, they leave garbage cans at the street for a week or something. They put out their brand new 80-inch television box at the street to tell everybody in the neighborhood they just bought an 86-inch television. So just think about ways that you can also protect yourself and not make yourself a victim of crime. I'm not saying that that's always the case, but there's been several times where cars have been broken into, and we've seen them on video where they're only getting in the cars that are unlocked. If your car's locked, they just go on down the road. So same with your house.
And keys in them.
Yeah, don't leave your keys in it. And when it's the winter, don't leave your car running unattended in the driveway or the street to have it stolen from you.
I just want to add on to that. We are very grateful for everyone in the community who has Ring doorbell cameras, surveillance footage. They see someone prowling on their driveway on this side street, and they see people reaching for handles, stuff like that. We're so grateful for you for calling us and getting the videos into the police department. That helps us in solving these crimes. If you don't have the subscription to Ring or whatever it may be, please sign it up so we can recover that footage and use it in the prosecution later on. It's so helpful to us, and the community has been great in trying to help us have a prosecutable case at the end of the day.
The only thing that I would add would be to Chief Deputy Allen's preventative measures. We've recently got some information that some of these organized thieves, these burglars, are starting to target people that have been deceased, and maybe they're out of town, so they're reading obituaries to find where a person had nobody connected to the community, and then they're going and burglarizing those homes. So there was always that possibility of people preying upon people in vulnerable positions. So any event that you have a loved one that has deceased, make sure you get somebody to secure that home and at least check on it, or ask a neighbor keep an eye on it for you.
Okay, that is startling. Okay, so this kind of keeps going with our crime. Are the inner core neighborhoods more dangerous? This might be for DPP here.
I don't know. Obviously, the core of town is where the majority of our calls for service do originate. That's where we're working hard as a community to do the community revitalization and try to strengthen community ties and build relationships. Our city's divided into 10 patrol districts. I didn't bring stats with me about where things are sitting right now, but I would be kind of remiss if I didn't say that there wasn't more activity in the inner city. Yeah, so I'll admit that, but that's where we focus a lot of our time and attention to help clean up the city in the inner core and to work with the community groups and be present in those neighborhoods.
And this kind of goes into that with your more of the inner city. Is there a correlation between areas of recent crimes or shootings where there's a lack of camera surveillance? So maybe the flock cameras.
I don't know that I could give a solid answer to that. We have the flock camera systems, for those of you that aren't aware. We have over 100 license plate readers in the city, and they're spread out greatly. So I don't know that would be the flock cameras come in handy all over town, I guess what I'm trying to say. It's not just, we don't just have them in the inner city. Kind of in line with what the state's attorney was saying, we have a lot of surveillance videos in houses and businesses that are great for the police department to capture footage from and solve a lot of things. So I guess we rely on flock heavily, but we also rely heavily on private individuals and business cameras.
And then this is for you still. Can you provide more information about the community action team?
So the community action team is it's a proactive group that's part of the Decatur Police Department. The officers that work the community action team are patrol officers that take on an extra assignment, and they don't do it full time, but they do it when we have a need to put them out. I guess they're out currently working like a 2 or 4 week stint now. So basically, it's a proactive unit. They're out to target areas where we're having problems, and we have known offenders, right? So they're targeting known offenders, and we're trying to curb some of that violence, gun violence, and stuff that's going on in town. So I don't supervise the unit. Do you have anything to add about the CAT team?
I mean, I'll just say they got started full-time basically last week, and Monday I think they seized either 1 or 2 guns, and then again already on Wednesday, 2 more firearms, 3 or 4 arrests, just that quickly after going out and getting started on their work full-time, now that the weather's warmed up, and we've seen an uptick in things. So they're very motivated officers to remove guns, off the streets.
So Lieutenant Yarhouse mentioned that they started full-time. So we had a spike, I guess it'd be 2 weekends ago now, maybe, where we had like 3 people shot and a couple shootings over the weekend. So we put them out in response to that. So they're working full-time in that capacity now to kind of get a handle on that now that it's warming up and turning spring into summer. So that's kind of the full-time aspect of that. So they'll be out for a period of time now until we deem that we made some progress and have some good results.
This question is for Diane. So in regards to gun crimes or guns involved in maybe a shooting, why are there plea bargains in some of those cases instead of giving them maybe the max penalty, or just kind of moving forward with the court system, going to trial, things like that?
Anytime we look at a case and decide what to offer as a plea, you have to look at the strength of the case. Are we likely to prevail at trial? Do we have a good shot of winning? Is a jury going to find this person guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? It's a high standard. So we have to look at it. We have to look at what witnesses we have, if we can find our witnesses, if they're credible witnesses. A lot of times we have offenses that happen, and let's say it happens in January. We may not get to trial until the following year. So where are these people? Obviously phone numbers change, people move. A lot of effort goes into trying to continuously build the case and prepare for trial. Things change in the time that it's been pending. So a lot of factors go into deciding what to offer and what our best shot is. We want the best result. We want to do what's right and what's fair. That is across the board. Our job is to seek justice, which is to do what's right. It may be different in different situations, but a lot of this goes to how are we situated to prove the case? Are we in a good spot? Do we have all of our witnesses? Do we have video footage? What do we have to prove this case? So each case is different. Each situation is different, and we do the best we can with each one.
Okay, so this is still for you, Diane. Do letters to a judge help get a criminal out of jail, not on a probation? What can we do to help you?
Okay, so first of all, please don't just send letters to the judge. It's not a good idea. It's going to complicate things for us, so please don't do that. But there are ways to help us. At sentencing, there's what's called a victim impact statement, which is where victims can speak to the judge and tell them how this has impacted their lives. That same statute for the victim impact statement also allows for people within the community to have that same right to speak to the judge in cases. So we do have that available. With regard to, can you repeat the last part of that question for me?
Yes, what can we do to help you?
What you can do to help us is keep at it. Keep sending videos in. If you see something alarming, send it in. If you know of someone who knows something and hasn't come forward, encourage them to come forward. A lot of the situations we face are people who don't want to cooperate with us, which in turn makes it very hard to prove a case. We have to have those individuals speaking truthfully and cooperating with us. We see a lot of times where people will dodge service when we're trying to serve them for a trial. So if you know of someone, your niece, nephew, granddaughter, son, daughter, whoever, who's been involved, who knows something or hasn't been involved, please encourage them to cooperate with us and help us to seek justice in these cases.
Let's move on to some more positive conversations now.
Sounds good.
Yes. So what positive success have you guys seen in Decatur just over the past year since we last met?
Excuse me. Well, some of the stats that Lieutenant Yarhouse went over are things that we speak about at the police department quite a bit. We're proud of the crime reduction efforts. We've kind of focused a lot of our, not a lot, but we focused on what the community has asked of us, like for instance in traffic enforcement. One of the common themes we heard over and over from the community was the driving and the traffic in town, so we got really aggressive with that and made some great strides. Kind of speaking from the police department itself, obviously we've really enhanced our recruiting efforts, so we worked hard in building up our staffing levels to get back to where we're closer to our normal staffing level. This next week on Wednesday, we are going to hire 10 new police officers. We've already hired 1 lateral, so we'll have 11 new police officers, so we're proud of that. I mean, really, I can't speak enough about the men and women of the Decatur Police Department, or actually the criminal justice system in Macon County as a whole. They work hard day in and day out. They do the hard work, and they're working to build this community and make it a stronger and safer place.
Okay. How can we as a community build stronger relationships with our neighborhoods, with DPD, Diane with your office, and then Sheriff with your office as well?
I'll speak first for Decatur Police. We do still have the neighborhood watch aspect of the past is kind of dwindled, but I think it's time for communities to get back together and want to take an active stance. We have the crime stoppers. Sorry, I couldn't think what I wanted to say. We have the Crime Stoppers unit in Decatur, which is a crime prevention officer and crime prevention unit. So we're always willing to come out and work with the community and different groups to try to help make things better. Read that one more time.
Yeah, of course. So how can we all continue to build a stronger and better
Relationship.
Relationships.
So as from the police department, we'll continue to be open and honest and transparent with the community. If you have issues and concerns, we need to know about them, kind of along the lines of what the state's attorney said. Cooperation is both ways in this world. Policing is, there's 150 men and women on the Decatur Police Department, but there's 70,000 people in the city of Decatur, maybe just a little bit short of that. So we can't be everywhere. We need help. We need eyes and ears. So we just need to continue to work together and just trust each other. I think community events like this are fantastic. We need to continue to do things such as this. That's one of my goals when I went into the chief. One of the things I talked about with the city management was having more community type type focus groups, particularly into the actual police districts where we patrol, so that the communities can come to talk to the officers that work in their area. I don't know if you're aware, but each patrol district indicator has 4 officers that are assigned to it permanently. There's 2 that work on the day shift and 2 that work on the night shift. And for the most part, we don't do a good job of getting those police officers out into those districts to meet the folks that are living and working there. So just keeping up relations like this and just building the trust. We got a lot of great things going, and I think we just continue to build on it.
I think all of us sitting up here want the same thing for our community. We want us to join on the same team, everyone part of the same team, to promote unity within the community, to promote safety, to promote help for those who need it. I think we're all on that same page. Part of it for our office, what can the community do, is if you know someone who is a victim, support them. Support them, give them the support they need, give them the help they need, whether it be a victim who suffered a tragedy. The criminal justice system is difficult on people. So if you're, feet on the ground, if you can support your fellow community members, that's huge. That's huge for our office and helping people to be prepared for going through the trauma of the court system, the trauma of trial, because it takes a toll on people. So being there for each other, if you see, a parent struggling with a teenage kid who may be what soon-to-be chief was talking about, where they're involved in kind of this cliquish gang type of atmosphere, reach out, see if you can help wrap around them, see if you can help put them in a better position with other adults who are responsible to help guide and mentor and things like that. I think a lot of what we see is more of the almost social work side of it, if that makes sense. Because we are after the fact. We are months later when we're preparing for trial. So the way we kind of look at it is what you can do is help each other, and that in turn helps us to do our jobs.
I think that the main part of it is that it all starts with you, the citizen that lives in the community. If you don't call out the bad behavior, we're never going to know about it. And if you, as I look out into the audience, I'm seeing faces of people about my age. Back in the days when I lived in the city of Decatur, when I grew up, if I did something down the street, that neighbor told my parents, and my parents took care of it. We don't have that because we don't have that neighborhood relationships with your neighbors and your neighbors' kids to let them know, hey, your kid's breaking into houses down here. You need to put a stop to it, or your kids can end up in jail. Calling them out and let them know that they're doing it. A lot of times these parents don't know that their kids are out there because they're absent from parenting. And we're seeing a lot of that now is we have parents that shouldn't, that need to be involved with their children and what their kids are doing out there. Because if those are the ones that are out there and the parents are just a blind eye to what they're doing, and they've never been told that their kids are doing something bad, and it means more coming from you than it does for us, because a lot of times they'll take their side when we bring them home in handcuffs and say your kid broke into this location and we're going to turn them over to you. They get mad at us, but if you can stop them from doing it by letting their parents know and that they need to take care of it, maybe that'll stop some of the minor stuff that we have to deal with.
A question from the Facebook page is, what do I do if my kid is getting drugs from maybe a friend? Who can I call?
You can report that to the local law enforcement, whether it's the city of Decatur, the sheriff's office. We do what's one thing that the city and the sheriff's office do. We do work together on drug-related offenses. We have an officer assigned to the street crimes, and that's all they do is. But they're targeting higher level drug dealers, not necessarily the kids, but those need to be reported to local law enforcement so that they can handle it.
And then, is there a DARE program still active? What is being done to prevent crimes and maybe the elementary school levels, any crime prevention programs?
So the DARE program has not been around for a while.
2013.
Well, 2013, the sheriff said. We still have police officers embedded in the public school system, Decatur. Matter of fact, I know that a lot of county schools do too. We have 5 school resource officers, one in both high schools, one in both middle schools, and then one, I believe, at Johns Hill. They all float amongst all the schools. So a high school liaison is also assigned a series of the grade schools. So that's our presence directly into the schools these days, is through our school resource officer, our liaison program.
This person says, I watch a lot of police body camera video on YouTube. One thing I have noticed in a lot of them is police using traffic stops as a pretext for stopping someone, claiming that they smell weed. Oftentimes no weed is found. Can you comment on this practice? They say many times these stops escalate into use of force.
Traffic stops are made based on violations of the vehicle code for one thing, or then reasonable suspicion of crime that would be afoot. About the cannabis portion of it, I mean, obviously cannabis is legal in some aspects in Decatur, in the state of Illinois now. So there's sometimes that officers are going to smell cannabis. That doesn't necessarily mean the person had smoking it as they're necessarily driving, but they've been around it. So about the escalation and that piece of it, I mean, I think education and how to handle yourself in a traffic stop can go a long way. Traffic stops are high risk for the police. They're high risk for the driver at times. The idea is to not get into confrontations. There are certain things that police officers are supposed to do and authorized to do during traffic stop, like identify people, verify insurance, things that people want to argue about a lot. So a lot of it's just the education piece. If we all drive cars, there's a point in our life where we're all going to get stopped by the police. So better communication from the police and the motoring public about what to expect and how to behave on traffic stops goes a long way. And then I will say on the body-worn camera side of it and the use of force side of it, we review at many levels every use of force encounter that the police department is involved in. It starts at the supervisory level on the shift, and then it goes to that shift commander, then it goes to the division commander, and then it goes to myself. So we review and highly scrutinize all use of forces that the Decatur Police Department is involved in and hold our officers accountable. So we are watching that as well. We want all interactions with Decatur Police to be positive and safe. So we want to make sure that if our officers are not doing something the way we want them to do, or if they're out of line, that we're also addressing that as well.
Sure, if anything you want to Okay. So this is someone who I believe has an idea of maybe an analogy. When can you go into a home, people are inside, but they don't answer